the heart and mission of Neighborhood Christian Legal Clinic is that we sort of meet at the intersection of Christ's heart for justice and mercy and our ability to provide justice and mercy through the work that we do. And we do that work in the areas of reentry justice for those needing criminal expungement or driver's licenses reinstated, immigration work for those facing deportation, housing, those facing eviction, consumer justice, and then tax and economic justice as well for those perhaps facing even unearned tax burdens. So we're able to provide relief in those areas in ways that no other organization can. I think what's important to remember is that those needs that our clients feel are tangible. They're very, very real, practical needs. So we have to keep our mission grounded in practical justice work. So we provide legal representation and legal education that results in outcomes that have names and faces as a result of our mission and our work.
As far as Luis's asylum claim goes, he, for all intents and purposes, had grown up in his home country having a relatively normal, happy, successful life. And it wasn't until he had decided he wanted to give back to one of the communities his parents had grown up in that things kind of started to take a turn for the worse. In his home country, paramilitary groups have had quite the stronghold on the community. They've perpetrated a lot of violence, and one of the people that they commonly recruit is children in the area. And so Luis was motivated to try and combat that by starting a program to let kids in that area know that they had another future available to them. But as you might suspect, the paramilitary group in the area was not pleased with his messaging and started threatening the families, the children, to not attend those events. So Luis saw attendance dwindling at his events, and then shortly thereafter started to become, the target of a lot of threats from the paramilitary organizations. And the threats were made not just to him, but to his family. On several occasions, Luis was threatened at gunpoint. The members of the paramilitary organization had attacked his grandma's house, and even after he left the area to go stay with another family member, his house was ransacked and threats were written in graffiti over the walls. And so after receiving all of those different threats, Luis made the really difficult decision that the only way to protect himself and his family was to leave his home country and come to the U.S. And he did so, by himself without any promise of a job opportunity, with really no stability of what his future was going to hold, but knowing that was the only option for him to remain safe.
Después de llegar a los Estados Unidos, estaba solo y desamparado.
After arriving in the U.S., I was lonely and destitute. My employer treated me like a slave. He wouldn't pay me and threatened to report me to immigration if I tried to do anything about it. I thought that if I talked to a lawyer, I would be deported. I talked to my wife over the phone and told her everything was okay, but she could tell I was not myself. She decided to join me in the U.S. When she got here, I admitted, if I had to live like this, I would rather be killed. Soon though, we found out that she was pregnant with twins, and suddenly I had to think not only about my own future, but the future of my children.
Unfortunately, Luis's situation is not unique. Hundreds of thousands of people are seeking asylum in the United States. They're faced with a terrible choice. They can either flee to a new country with new customs, unfamiliar laws, a really complex legal system that they don't understand, or they can stay and face persecution and likely death. They're also forced to bring their families with them on a dangerous migratory path, because even if the family weren't initially targeted, they likely would be once the primary target fled. And so once they make it to the United States, they're facing all these challenges of being in a new place, but they're also subjected to other challenges. They're dealing with the trauma of where they came from and their journey, as well as they're often subjected to employment abuse and extreme poverty.
Finally, I searched online and found Neighborhood Christian Legal Clinic. I went to their building at 4 in the morning in the middle of winter to wait for them to open. I didn't have a jacket, so I wrapped myself in a blanket. After talking with one of their attorneys, I saw a little bit of light in my situation. They told me that I could apply for asylum, but since I had to apply within 1 year from when I arrived in the country, I was almost out of time. They put my application together in 6 days. I almost missed my chance, but I believed that it was all God taking care of me. I was able to get a work permit and a better job.
You have a lot of people that when they first arrived in the US, everything has been going against them. And so to be able to come alongside someone like that and say, you're not in this journey alone, we support you, we want to hear what your story is, we want you to be here, I think is a really special gift. And, just on a personal level, that is what the Lord has done for me in my life. During my darkest moments, I can rest assured that He will not abandon or forsake me. And, if my purpose as a Christian here on this earth is to be a mirror of the love that I've received from Christ, then that's exactly what I need to be offering to my clients.
Inmediatamente, después de que nacieron nuestros gemelos.
Right after our twins were born, the asylum application was denied, and I had to go to immigration court. But the clinic attorney said not to worry. The judge could still decide to grant me asylum. We had to wait for 3 long years, but the clinic was always there for us. At last, the asylum was granted. My wife and I burst into tears, and the lawyers cried with us.
The moment that we found out Luis had been granted asylum, we felt it was a thrill. We felt very joyful. It was also an incredible relief. We actually hadn't even presented all of our evidence, but the judge was so moved by Luis's story that he asked the opposing counsel if they would object to a grant, and suddenly Luis's long nightmare was just over. And I mean, that's why you do this work. We want to help people build their new lives here in the United States, and in this case, we were able to do that in a really powerful way.
La Clínica Legal Cristiana del Vecindario.
Neighborhood Christian Legal Clinic changed my life. Now the future is so much clearer. My kids can go to school on a bright yellow school bus and have a better future. Through all of the difficult things we have gone through, we have always prayed. God has been in control, and we know there's a purpose behind it. I know that God placed a clinic in our lives, and I say thank you, thank you, thank you.
Y digo, gracias, gracias, gracias.
To our faithful supporters, we want to say thank you. Without your support, our organization would not be here. We would not have been here for the past 28 years. It's astounding to me that the clinic has been around and steady as long as it has, and it wouldn't be here if it weren't for our faithful supporters. So to those who would like to consider partnering with the clinic moving forward, I would say now is the time. Help us say yes. Help us say yes to helping more people, to delivering more freedom. I know that $1 worth of giving can impact up to $6 worth of outcomes. And we see that. We see that in the faces of the people we serve. I hear it, the joy in someone's voice when they get a work permit, the hope when someone leaves here and someone's finally taking a look at their case and they feel like they know what their next steps are. It's empowering and it's delivering. And so say yes and help us say yes to more families.